It was one of those early summer mornings in northern Oregon that felt ordinary enough to be forgettable if it weren't for what would happen. The sky was pale blue, the air cool and fresh, with just enough warmth to hint at the coming afternoon sun. Most people in town were either already at work or enjoying a quiet weekend at home, mowing lawns, tending gardens, or sipping coffee on their porches. But for some of us, the forest was irresistible. Its thick pine scent, the gentle rustle of leaves, the familiar paths that wound between the ridges. It was a sanctuary, and one you could almost take for granted. Alan Matthews had been a park ranger for more than 20 years. He wasn't flashy, wasn't the kind to boast about rescues or heroic saves. To most of the locals, he was simply Alan, the man who knew every trail, every creek, every hidden nook where wildlife gathered. If you were new to the area, he was the guy who would walk you along the trailhead, pointing out edible berries, animal tracks, and the old trees that had stood for centuries. He had a calm, steady presence, the sort of person who made you feel safer just knowing he was nearby. That Saturday morning, Alan drove to the Hemlock Ridge trailhead, a stretch of backcountry forest that was both remote and notoriously difficult to navigate. Most weekend hikers avoided it unless they were experienced. Steep inclines, hidden drop-offs, and dense undergrowth made it treacherous for the unprepared. Alan's plan was straightforward: routine patrol, clearing fallen trees, checking trail markers, making sure the trails were safe. Nothing unusual, nothing out of the ordinary. By 8 a.m., he had parked his state-issued truck at the small gravel lot, signed the logbook at the ranger station, and stepped into the forest with his pack, a pair of sturdy boots, and the kind of quiet confidence that comes from knowing a place inside and out. He waved to a couple of hikers passing the lot, exchanged a few friendly words, and disappeared into the trees. The first few hours were mundane. Hikers later reported seeing him on the trail, moving methodically, clearing debris, taking notes, snapping pictures of worn trail signs. Around noon, Alan radioed dispatch, a short professional check-in confirming that he'd cleared a small fallen tree blocking a secondary path. "All clear," he said, continuing north toward the ridge. It was the last normal communication anyone ever had with him. At 3:47 p.m., a single radio call shattered that sense of routine. Dispatch picked it up, clear and unmistakable. Alan's voice, calm but unmistakably tense, said only, "I see it now. It's right here." Static swallowed the rest of the transmission. The operators replayed the recording, thinking perhaps they had misheard. But no, it was unmistakable. That phrase, "It's right here," was all that remained. No location, no explanation, nothing. Search teams were deployed immediately. Alan's truck still sat at the trailhead, keys in the ignition, lunch half-eaten on the passenger seat. His boots, personal radio, and backpack were all accounted for. Nothing appeared disturbed. To the volunteers, it seemed impossible that someone so experienced and so familiar with the forest could simply vanish. The initial sweep followed the expected paths. Dogs picked up a scent trail, Alan's trail. It was steady, methodical, moving along the contours of the ridge as expected. For a while, it seemed almost reassuring. But then, half a mile in, the trail simply ended. No signs of a fall, no scuffed earth, no branches broken, as if someone had struggled or been dragged. Just a perfect, abrupt stop in the middle of a mossy clearing. The clearing itself was quiet, almost unnaturally so. Birds that had chirped along the trail moments before had gone silent. The wind, normally rustling the leaves and carrying the scent of pine, seemed to stall. Searchers reported feeling an odd heaviness in the air, a subtle unease that they couldn't explain. It was at this point that Bill Hanley arrived, a veteran search and rescue officer who had been on dozens of searches across the Pacific Northwest. Bill had seen everything: lost hikers, disoriented hunters, even fatal falls in cliffs that seemed impossible to reach. But he told me later, off the record, that this operation was different. Near the spot where Alan's trail ended, Bill noticed something strange. A small pile of river stones, smooth and rounded, stacked in a deliberate formation. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable unless you were looking for it. But to Bill, it screamed intentionality. Someone or something had left them there. No one could explain why. No footprints or disturbed vegetation led to or from the pile. It was as if it had appeared overnight. Over the next several days, the search expanded. Helicopters swept the ridges. Volunteers combed the ravines, checking every crevice and fallen tree. K-9 units sniffed every inch of the forest floor. Nothing. No torn clothing, no discarded gear, no scraps of fabric. Alan Matthews simply ceased to exist beyond the spot where his trail ended and that strange pile of stones. Then came a detail that made the mystery even more unnerving. A ham radio operator in a nearby town claimed he picked up a faint transmission days after the official search had ended. It was garbled, mostly static, but one word was unmistakable. Here. County officials dismissed it as interference, but some of the volunteers and locals who knew Alan personally couldn't stop thinking about it. Could it have been him? And if so, what did he mean by here? Witness reports added another layer of confusion. Some hikers said they had seen Alan earlier than reported, in areas that would have required him to travel faster than anyone thought possible. Others insisted they passed him heading south, while others swore he was moving north at the same time. There was no consensus. The forest seemed to play tricks on the eye, or perhaps it was something deeper, something Alan himself had glimpsed before disappearing. The days turned into weeks, then months. The official search wound down, but locals continued to speak in hushed tones about the ridge. A few dedicated hikers returned to the clearing, hoping to find some clue, some hint of Alan. One reported seeing a faint, dark shape among the trees, gone the moment they blinked. Another swore the wind carried what sounded like a man whispering, just beyond comprehension. Alan Matthews has never been found. No trace of him has emerged. His truck remains at the trailhead, keys in the ignition. His boots and backpack are gone without a hint. The only thing anyone can point to with certainty is his last radio call. I see it now. It's right here. To this day, no one knows what he meant or what here truly was. The pile of river stones remains unexplained. The triangulated radio signal suggests he was somewhere searched repeatedly, yet no human or animal presence could account for it. Some townspeople have theories. Maybe he wandered into a hidden cave, fell, and was never found. Others whisper about things that stalk the woods, shadows that move without bodies, and noises that don't belong to any known creature. But for those of us who remember Alan, the man who knew every trail, who kept children safe, who respected the forest more than anything else, the truth is far darker. The forest took him, or something in it did, and all that remains is a single phrase echoing through the radio static, a phrase that will haunt anyone who dares to enter Hemlock Ridge alone. It's right here. One of the most baffling cases involves an experienced hiker, skilled, prepared, carrying all the right equipment. She knew the trails. She studied maps, and yet she disappeared. The trail was well marked. Other hikers passed by. But when she failed to return that evening, search teams combed every path, valley, and ledge. They found her gear untouched. No tracks, no sign of struggle, no hint of what had happened. How does someone vanish completely in one of the most visited national parks in the world? The answer remains unknown. In another story, a family visited Yosemite for a simple day in the park, picnic by the meadow, photos on the cliffs, laughter echoing through the trees. Then, in a moment, one of their own disappeared. No sound, no warning. The area was straightforward, familiar, and yet gone. Search teams arrived quickly. Dogs were brought in. Rangers called in reinforcements. Helicopters scoured the valley, but nothing turned up. Yosemite had swallowed one of them and refused to give any clues. Yosemite is not just large, it is immense. Rescue operations here face terrain that is unforgiving. Steep cliffs, dense forests, caves, and hidden ravines. Weather changes without warning. Fog rolls in. Rainstorms sweep the valleys. Even trained rangers and search teams can be overwhelmed. Hours turn into days. Days turn into weeks. And still, the park keeps its secrets. Each disappearance is a race against nature itself. Some explanations are straightforward. Flash floods can sweep through narrow canyons in minutes, taking everything in their path. Sudden rockfalls bury trails and deer beneath tons of granite. Wildlife encounters, though rare, can be deadly. Each theory is plausible, each explanation terrifying. But they do not account for every case. Some people vanish without trace, leaving behind no evidence of any natural event. The human mind, too, is fragile in the wilderness. In vast forests and high valleys, disorientation is easy. Trails twist, landmarks mislead, and panic sets in. Lost hikers make decisions that, in hindsight, seem irrational. Walking in circles, straying off the path, attempting to climb dangerous cliffs. Every choice can be a step closer to danger. And in Yosemite, one wrong turn can be fatal. There is another layer to this mystery. Researcher David Paulides has documented a series of unusual disappearances in national parks, including Yosemite. Known as Missing 411, his findings suggest patterns that do not align with normal hiking accidents. Clusters of vanishings in specific areas. Cases with similar circumstances. People disappearing suddenly, leaving behind no trace. Skeptics call it coincidence. But for families of the missing, these patterns are a chilling possibility. Yosemite, they argue, hides more than natural danger. Perhaps it conceals secrets we may never understand. Among park visitors and locals, whispers of strange creatures linger. Figures glimpsed between trees, shadows moving where none should exist. Strange sounds echoing at night. Stories of cryptids, unknown animals, beings outside our understanding, are often dismissed as folklore. Yet, in a place as vast and wild as Yosemite, can we truly rule anything out? Others suggest the impossible. Ancient curses, spiritual portals, places where the world bends. While these ideas exist on the fringe, they illustrate a point. Some mysteries in Yosemite have resisted explanation for generations. For those who vanish, no matter how experienced or careful, the park offers no mercy, and sometimes no answer. As night falls over Yosemite, the valley grows quiet. Trails that were bustling during the day now lie empty, and the questions remain. Why do people disappear here? How can a prepared hiker vanish without a trace? Why does Yosemite keep its secrets so well? In Part 2, we will explore more cases, delve deeper into theories both natural and paranormal, and look at the human cost of these vanishings. The mystery continues, and the valley waits silently for its next story. Yosemite's mysteries do not end at nightfall. For every disappearance, there is a story, a pattern, a chilling question left unanswered. Some vanishings are brief news items, quickly forgotten. Others linger, whispered about by locals, studied by researchers, and remembered by families who never stop hoping. One case involved a young man on a solo backpacking trip. He was experienced, confident, and well prepared. His route was simple, popular, even. But somewhere along the trail, he vanished. When search teams arrived, they found his campsite untouched, food still in the bear locker, his tent neatly folded. No tracks led away. No signs of struggle. Just nothing. Hours turned into days. Days turned into weeks. And still, he was gone. Another case involved a mother and her 2 children. They set out for a day hike near a small waterfall, a place many families visited. Hours later, she returned alone. Her children had vanished without a trace. There were no signs of accident, no footprints leading to danger. The search team scoured the area for days, then weeks, but found nothing. Yosemite had claimed them, silently, invisibly. These disappearances challenge our understanding of nature and logic. They force us to consider the sheer scale of the park. Yosemite is not just large. It is vast and complex, with countless hidden valleys, cliffside ledges, and deep forests. A person can move just a few hundred meters and vanish from view entirely. Combine that with sudden weather changes, hidden hazards, and the psychological effects of being lost, and even the most prepared hiker can find themselves in peril. Flash floods can come without warning. Rockfalls can bury trails instantly. Wildlife, though rare, can be deadly. And yet, these explanations fail in cases where no evidence remains. No tracks, no injuries, no gear displaced. Only a person missing. The human mind struggles in these conditions. Panic sets in quickly when a person realizes they are lost. Decisions are made impulsively. Trails are abandoned. Directions reversed. Every choice can increase the risk of harm. Studies of survival psychology show that even experienced hikers can make fatal errors when disoriented and frightened. This is where theories intersect with speculation. Researcher David Paulides, through his Missing 411 project, has documented clusters of disappearances with baffling similarities. People vanish in specific areas, often near water or cliff edges. They disappear suddenly, sometimes without leaving a trace. Some are found far from where they were last seen, in locations impossible to reach without significant effort. Skeptics argue coincidence, misadventure, or human error. Others see a deeper pattern. Perhaps Yosemite and other national parks have hidden dangers we cannot perceive. Perhaps something in the wilderness itself interferes with our understanding of space, direction, and survival. Stories of cryptids and unknown creatures also circulate. Locals speak of strange figures glimpsed between trees, sounds in the night that cannot be explained, shadows moving across cliffsides when no one is there. These are dismissed by many as folklore, exaggeration, or fear. But in a park as vast as Yosemite, can we truly rule anything out? Some theories venture further into the paranormal. Ancient curses, spiritual portals, areas where reality seems to bend. While fringe, these ideas reveal the human attempt to explain the inexplicable. When conventional explanations fail, the mind seeks alternatives. The unknown becomes something more than absence. It becomes something alive, something watching. But not all explanations require imagination. Environmental hazards are real. Yosemite's terrain is treacherous. Sudden storms, hidden ravines, unstable rocks, and wildlife all pose risks. In combination with disorientation, fatigue, and fear, they can create conditions where people vanish without trace. Even experienced hikers are not immune. The human cost of these disappearances is immense. Families live with uncertainty. They wait, hope, and grieve. They revisit the trails, imagine the last moments, and wonder if any explanation will ever come. The emotional weight of a missing person extends far beyond the individual. It ripples through communities, leaving scars that cannot be healed. Safety in Yosemite is paramount. Visitors must plan meticulously. Tell someone where they are going. Carry the right gear. Be prepared for sudden weather changes. Avoid unnecessary risks. Respect the wilderness. Nature is beautiful, but it is indifferent. It does not punish or reward. It simply exists, and humans must navigate it carefully. In addition to preparation, awareness is critical. Trails may appear familiar, but can shift with erosion or seasonal changes. Landmarks may deceive the eye. Sound travels differently in valleys, making it easy to misjudge distance. Even a few minutes of confusion can separate someone from safety. Search and rescue operations, while heroic, have limitations. Helicopters cannot cover every hidden valley. Dogs cannot track every scent in dense forests. Rangers cannot be everywhere at once. In Yosemite, the odds are stacked against quick recovery, especially when someone has disappeared without leaving a trace. The missing 411 cases remind us of patterns that defy expectation. Certain regions seem to attract more disappearances. People vanish in clusters, under circumstances that repeat eerily. Even with modern technology, GPS devices, and communication tools, some cases remain unsolved. The wilderness does not always yield answers. For some, this has led to speculation of supernatural involvement. Ancient legends speak of areas where spirits dwell, where the natural and supernatural intersect. Stories of portals or cursed locations are often discounted, but they persist. They offer explanations for what otherwise seems impossible. Still, most vanishings likely have natural explanations. Accidents, disorientation, or environmental hazards can account for many cases. Yet, the unexplained ones linger in public consciousness because there is no closure. People disappear as if into another dimension, leaving questions that remain open-ended. Yosemite teaches a lesson about respect. Its beauty is undeniable, but its scale is overwhelming. It is a reminder that humans are small in comparison to nature's vastness. Preparation, caution, and humility are essential for anyone venturing into its depths. Every missing person is a reminder of nature's power. They remind us of the fragility of human life in the face of wilderness. Even skilled, knowledgeable, and prepared individuals are vulnerable. The park does not discriminate. Experience cannot guarantee safety. Some visitors leave with memories, photographs, and stories. Others leave with questions, uncertainty, and a lingering sense of loss. For families of the missing, life is forever altered. For those who remain, Yosemite's mysteries continue to draw the curious, the brave, and sometimes the unlucky. Even with the best preparation, accidents can happen. Even in daylight, on well-known trails, the unexpected waits. The cliffs are steep, the valleys deep, and the forest dense. Visibility can drop in moments. Weather can change without warning. For some, these conditions have proven fatal. For others, the explanation remains elusive. The missing are often never found. Their stories become part of Yosemite's silent narrative, a reminder that not all who enter its valleys return. Visitors should take heed, respect the park, follow trails, communicate plans, carry essential gear, understand the environment, and remember, even in paradise, danger can hide. Yosemite's beauty and its mysteries are inseparable. The very qualities that make it breathtaking, the cliffs, forests, and hidden valleys, also make it perilous. Its power is both visible and invisible, tangible and intangible. As we conclude this exploration, it is clear that some questions will remain unanswered. Some vanishings defy logic. Some mysteries resist explanation. Yet the stories continue to inspire curiosity, caution, and respect. Share your thoughts. Consider the patterns, the theories, and the unanswered questions. Engage with the unknown and respect the wild. Some secrets, even in Yosemite, are never fully revealed. The valley stands silent, as it always has. Its cliffs and forests witness every step, every decision, every disappearance. And its mysteries endure, waiting quietly for the next story to unfold. Yosemite's shadows are long, its history is deep, and its lessons are clear. Respect the wilderness, prepare carefully, and remember that even the most familiar paths can lead to the unknown. One ranger, a veteran of over 20 years, set out alone to inspect a remote canyon in the northern reaches of the park. He had walked these trails countless times. He knew the cliffs, the meadows, and the streams like the back of his hand. Yet, when he left that morning, he never returned. His last radio transmission was brief. "I think I've found something." "Unusual," he said. Then static, silence. Search teams mobilized immediately. Helicopters scoured the canyon from above. Rangers combed the trails, climbed cliffs, and crawled through dense underbrush. Dogs were brought in, their noses trained to detect human scent. But no trace of the ranger was found. No footprints, no dropped gear, no sound of struggle. Only the wilderness itself. Days passed. The search intensified. More rangers joined. Every inch of the canyon was mapped, measured, and examined, but nothing. The veteran ranger had simply vanished. Eventually, the search teams discovered something disturbing. At the edge of a cliff overlooking a hidden gorge, his uniform had been neatly folded and placed on a rock. Not dropped in haste, not scattered by wind, folded, like he had left it deliberately. But there was no ranger, no sign of him anywhere nearby. This detail perplexed the search teams. It was unnatural. It was silent. It was deliberate. Some whispered about hidden caverns in the canyon, caverns that shifted with the terrain, appearing in one season and disappearing in the next. Others spoke of strange echoes, where sounds returned distorted, carrying whispers of voices not present. The canyon itself seemed alive, as if it were watching, waiting. And in this canyon, even the most experienced human could be swallowed without a trace. The ranger's family was devastated. They refused to believe he was gone. They clung to hope, but the park offered none. No clues, no explanations, only the unanswered question: where did he go? Visitors to the park began reporting strange occurrences. Hikers spoke of seeing a figure in ranger clothing standing silently in valleys or along ridges, only to vanish when approached. Photographs captured shadows in places that seemed impossible, but nothing could confirm the sightings. Experts debated. Was it disorientation? Did the ranger fall, unnoticed, into a hidden crevice? Could wildlife or environmental hazards explain the disappearance? Perhaps, but none of the evidence fit the pattern. Nothing was disturbed. Nothing was broken. And the folded uniform remained, untouched and mysterious. As the days turned into weeks, speculation grew. Some believed the ranger had stumbled upon something hidden in the canyon, something humans were not meant to find. Others suggested the land itself had claimed him, as it had claimed others before. For those familiar with missing 411 cases, the parallels were unsettling. Experienced individuals disappearing in national parks. No evidence, no trace, no explanation. Clusters of disappearances that seemed to follow no logical pattern. Yosemite had swallowed one of its own, silently. And in doing so, it reminded everyone of its power, its scale, and its mysteries. The canyon waited. Its cliffs and trees stood silent, timeless, and the vanished ranger became part of its hidden story. Weeks passed, but the mystery deepened. Rangers returned to the canyon, retracing every step. Survey teams mapped the terrain. Scientists analyzed every detail, but no new clues emerged. Some hikers reported seeing strange symbols etched into rock's faint markings that appeared overnight and could not be explained by natural processes. Others heard whispers that seemed to echo their own voices, distorted and delayed. The family of the ranger refused to give up. They conducted their own searches, following rumors, venturing off trail, and speaking to locals. Every lead ended in frustration. Yosemite had closed over the canyon, hiding its secrets once again. Psychologists studied the case, examining the effects of isolation and stress in wilderness survival. They noted that even trained individuals can succumb to panic, disorientation, or environmental hazards. But the ranger was experienced, confident, and calm in all previous situations. Nothing in his background suggested he would simply vanish. The folded uniform remained the most perplexing element. It suggested intent, awareness, perhaps even communication. But communication with whom and for what purpose was impossible to know. Some theorists turned to folklore and legend. Tales of spirits guarding hidden parts of the park, of places where the physical and spiritual world overlap. Places where the land itself can rearrange trails, conceal cliffs, or shift the course of a river. Perhaps the ranger had encountered such a place. Perhaps the canyon had simply taken him. Rangers and visitors alike began to speak in hushed tones about the Silent Canyon, a part of Yosemite that seemed to defy reason. They warned newcomers to stay on marked trails, to respect the land, and to remember that some areas are not fully understood. As years passed, the ranger's disappearance became a cautionary tale. Hikers carried photographs of the canyon, noting areas where the shadows seemed to move. They shared stories of echoes and shifting terrain. They spoke of a figure in ranger clothing, standing silently at the edge of cliffs, watching. Experts cataloged the case alongside others in missing 411 studies. Experienced individuals disappearing without trace, evidence that defied logic, patterns that were disturbing, unexplained, and consistent. Despite technology, helicopters, and modern navigation tools, Yosemite continued to claim those who ventured too far into its hidden places. It reminded everyone that no matter how skilled, how prepared, or how brave, the wilderness has rules humans may never fully understand. The canyon remains, silent, watching, waiting, and the ranger, vanished from sight, has become part of its eternal story. Visitors still speak of him in whispers. Locals avoid certain paths. Rangers tread cautiously when inspecting the northern reaches. And every so often, a hiker glimpses a figure in uniform, standing perfectly still, then disappearing into the trees. No one knows the truth. Perhaps it will never be known. But Yosemite, timeless and indifferent, keeps its secrets well. The canyon remains silent, the forest patient, and the vanished ranger, forever part of the park's hidden shadows.